I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah. Say I got a woman way over town, good to me. Oh yeah. She give me money when I'm in need. Yeah, she's a kind of friend indeed. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah. She says loving early in the morning just for me. Oh yeah. She says loving early in the morning just for me. Oh yeah. She says loving just for me. Yeah, she loves me so tenderly. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah. She's there to love me both day and night. Never grumbles or fusses, always treats me right. Never running in the streets and leaving me alone. She knows a woman's place is right there now in her home. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah. Say I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah. Oh, she's my baby. Don't you understand? Yeah, I'm a lover man. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah. Don't you know she's all right? Don't you know she's all right? She's all right, she's all right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hold me close and hold me fast. The magic spell you cast. This is La Vie en Rose. When you kiss me, heaven sighs, and though I close my eyes, I see La Vie en Rose. When you press me to your heart, and in a world apart, a world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing from above. Everyday word seems to turn into love song. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be La Vie en Rose.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we're settling down, if you could please put all your phones on silent. And obviously we've got more people here than chairs. The only thing we would ask is that you don't get in the way of the camera, so that the people who are streaming would be able to see what's going on. So on behalf of Sugar's family, I'd like to welcome you all here to Sugar's home for this celebration of Sugar's life. Particularly, I'd like to welcome the many people who are zooming in from America, from Europe, and from the rest of South Africa to be with us this afternoon. Today is a celebration of life. It's not, you know, Sugar would not want us to be crying too much, but she'd want it to be a celebration. And Sugar had many, many stories, as we all know. We've all been party to and probably the subject of many of Sugar's stories. But she only had one thing to say about her funeral. And the one thing about her funeral was she wanted the bagpipes. And when the bagpipes were here, she wants everyone to wail. She wants everyone to cry. She wants everyone to be very, very sad, because she was the center of the universe and she's now gone. So I would ask that when we're welcoming in the bagpipes, that at least try and wail, because Sugar will be looking at us and we don't want to disappoint her. So we're starting off, and she wasn't Scottish, she wasn't Irish, but she wanted the bagpipes. So the only thing she wanted, let's do for her. Thank you very much. You're very poor whalers. Okay, no, there were exceptions. There were exceptions. Sugar also said that she understood that at her funeral there would be drinking, and she knew that you would be happy and you'd be getting in the spirit of things. She then said, we're going to bring back the bagpipes so that you do wail again. So just be ready for that later on. Sugar didn't mention this about the funeral, but the one thing that she would have wanted is her loved ones, her family and friends to be there for her, to remember her. And so we're going to be asking members of the family to just share some memories, some stories. And the first to do so is Victoria, Sugar's only daughter.
So my speech today is about gratitude. Mum, I'm so grateful that you were a mother, that you were the most incredible, devoted grandmother to all of our children, that you knew and loved and was so proud of each and every one of them. And I know that a lot of her bridge playing friends all had to be subjected to lots of stories of her grandchildren. I'm so grateful that you taught us resilience and that no matter what life throws at us, we can continue and grow. Everyone you met loved you. You're beautiful, vivacious, funny, glamorous lady, full of joie de vivre and totally unforgettable. I'm so grateful that we learned from the best raconteur with your hilarious stories and wicked sense of humor. I'm so grateful that you had so much time to impart your love and your wisdom and to throw the best parties and welcome a stream of young people and old into number 4. I'm so grateful that we will continue your heritage of fun and hospitality. We could ask at any stage to add another 6 guests, 12 guests, 20 guests to your legendary events and boundless hospitality. And you would say, no problem, I'll just drop kick a chicken out of the deep freeze. Nothing was impossible, and you opened your arms and welcomed them all. We've lost the biggest sparkling star, the tall glass of the best champagne. We love you and we miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. And now we're going to be hearing from Georgie, Haki and Kerry's daughter, and Sugar's eldest grandchild.
Okay, so sorry, public speaking is not my strength, but here it goes. So for so long, I had put off writing this speech just because in my mind, a memorial was the time you always say goodbye. And I haven't been ready for that. But it has only been in the last few days, with time spent in the bush as a family, did I realize that was never going to be the case, because I truly saw a little bit of her in every single one of us. And as cliche as that sounds, I truly believe that that is how she will live on. This time has been a big reflection for me, and looking at my grand's life and the people she surrounded herself by. Quality people who are all just the most incredible individuals. And that is a huge testament to who she was. She gave everyone in her life so much time, and certainly was the hostess with the mostess. One of the many things I admired about her was that she welcomed everyone and anyone into her home and embraced all, especially our friends. A prime example of this is, when we were younger, our play dates consisted of dress up in Shugs' wardrobe, where we would put on her mink coats, her heels, and we would sit at her famous bar, smoking toothpicks and drinking appetizer out of champagne glasses. And we should have known it was only going to go downhill from there. Because during lockdown, we had a group called Secret Cigs and Champagne with Shugs. And basically, she would let us know when the coast was clear, when all the parents had left the house, and we would rush over with our friends and have an afternoon of just full gossip and laughs. And Of course, with the gossiping, she loved, and you were not allowed to leave out a single detail. And I mean, Shirley, the coolest gran. I'm so grateful for everything she was and everything she did for me. For the quality time spent together, whether it be chatting on the phone for hours, and my word did she have a lot of words to get out. To driving down to the Midlands to visit us at school, our lunch dates, or driving up to Fort Townsend Road for lunch. She will be missed every day. So here's to the most glamorous, vivacious woman forever in my heart. Cheers, Gogo.
Thank you, Georgie. Now we'll hear from Fraser, Hackie and Kerry's son and Sugar's eldest grandson.
Gogo was the most dedicated and encouraging grandmother us grandchildren could have asked for. She would unashamedly promote and boast about us whenever and to whoever she could. In my junior years at the Ridge, she would flirtatiously stroll up to the headmaster and ask, "Now, is this a good time to talk about Fraser being head boy?" With there, of course, not being a head boy at the Ridge. Followed my senior years at my class, where Gogo, at a moment's notice, would dash down and take me out for the weekend, taking me and my hungry friends out to that long-awaited steak. Shugs, in all her glory, was at every game that she could be at, cheering not only me, but the entire team. When asked by my dad not to go talk to the coaches, she would reply, "Hackie, don't be silly," and slowly waltz over and ask them for a light for a ciggy. Which then ended in her asking for me to be promoted up the batting order. Gogo was famous in all the cricket teams I played for. She hosted dinners and even hosted the coaches. I have to add that she was the first grandmother to ever be invited to the my class cricket dinner. I had the privilege of helping Gogo in many tricky situations. One being popping over to fix her TV, which often required the click of one button, or another having to swim her across the waters in Spain on a lilo just so she wouldn't get her hair wet. We shared many lunches, one-on-one, catching up on as much gossip as we could, which often ended in her giving me relationship advice. Gogo, I was your biggest fan, and you will be missed dearly. Cheers.
Thank you, Fraser. Now we'll hear from Oliver, Norman's and Jennifer's son, and Sugar's eldest American grandchild.
So I decided to share a letter I wrote to Gogo a little while ago. Dear Gogo, I miss you so much. It's hard to process that you're gone, since I didn't get to see you often. I still half expect to see you waltz out here, Chardonnay in one hand, ciggy in the other, to wrap me in a warm embrace and tell me everything's okay. I wish you got to see the man I've become here in South Africa. It was always your dream to have me come here. You knew something that I didn't at the time, the fact that I am South African. You saw me grow up unhappy and knew the solution to my problem long before I did, and I wish I could hug you and say thank you. You were always the person I turned to when I couldn't face my problems, my trusted confidant who convinced me everything was all right, even if it wasn't. You had my back, and all your grandkids' back, even when we were in the wrong. You saw the best in everyone and made us all feel special. So many times in life, you don't get to choose the last words you say to someone. I never got a chance to say goodbye, but I'll never forget the last words I ever said to you. I love you, Gogo. It was after my high school graduation, during my first year of college. I don't remember what we talked about, probably a juice-up gossip session. But I'll never let myself forget those 4 final words I uttered to you. I love you, Gogo. I wish that wasn't the last time I said those words to you, but I'm glad those were the words I chose. Today is a day to celebrate your life and mourn your passing. Everyone here has a different story of you that you told to them that made them feel like they were the most special person in the world. And all I hope is that we made you feel half as special as you made us feel.
Thank you, Oliver. We now have a double act, Emily and Beatrice, who are Peter and Sarah's daughters.
Oh, this is a bit tall.
Didn't get the tall
Wrong
jeans.
family, yeah. Even in heels.
Maybe just a little
Yeah,
further
yeah.
down. Darling Gogo, what an incredibly difficult time the last year has been without you by our side. You have not only left a void across the road, but in the hearts of us all. From the warmth of your electric blankets with some tea and a rusk through the coldest winters, to your joyous laughter whenever Emily made a joke, you were constantly making our lives brighter and livelier. You were a person I could walk across to for a big squash and a squeeze, and were always there during the good and bad times in our lives.
Gogo, you were the light in every room, and you still are. Every time the sun sets, I see a burst of colour and a light, and I know that it's you. You made a space in your heart for our family, and took us in as your own. I'm so grateful for the love and support you always gave us. Every sports field, music concert or play, we would look up and you would be there. One of my fondest memories was of our time together when you visited me in Ireland. I got to share a part of my new adventure with you, although I knew you came to find one of your many Irish admirers. Your experiences on the side of my hockey field always made me laugh. Like the time you had a chocolate vodka shot at 10:30 in the morning to make my hockey match a tiny bit more entertaining. We miss your Chinese bangles, your delicious lamb ribs, your ability to make one smile, no matter the situation, and we just really, really miss you.
All we can say is thank you, Gogo. Thank you for being a pillar of strength, wisdom, and wit. Thank you for being the best Gogo we could ever have asked for. Words cannot and will never be able to describe the impact you have left on Emily and I and those around us.
To the shining light in our lives, heart and skies that you are, Gogo. We know that your spirit and energy will never ever leave us, and you will always have a very special place in all of our hearts.
To you, Gogo, a biento.
Love, Emily and Beatrice.
I'm sure Sugar's crying at the moment. Okay, we now still have another double act, Charlotte and Annabelle, Tom and Vicky, and Harold and Kerry's daughters.
To our dearest Gogo, we decided to say the speech together because you always treated us like we were twins. Saying so, one of our favorite memories with Gogo was when she took us shopping and insisted that we got matching outfits. And she was still trying until we were teenagers. When it was the three of us, we would always gossip about all the drama because her reactions were just the best. Personally, my favorite memory with Gogo was when my parents went away for the weekend and I was more than happy to stay with Gogo. We were home alone and we would have dance parties around the kitchen to both our favorite songs, to the parts until the neighbors had to call and tell us to shut up. You played a big role in our life. You taught us right and wrong. You gave us love and laughter. You will forever have a special place in our heart. And Gogo, we promise you that we will remember everything you have taught us and you will keep all our secrets.
My friends and I still remember my 13th birthday. We danced for hours. I taught you my favorite Taylor Swift song and you taught me how to waltz. Thank you for your sacrifices, your care and concern, your love and everything that you've done for us. We will forever be grateful that you were such a special part of our lives. I even remember one time that I that I asked you to stop smoking in return for me getting straight A's. Now I have good marks and you never stop smoking. But you're deeply loved by all of us. You gave unlimited love to anyone, no matter who they were. You played a huge role in our lives. You taught us right and wrong and shared so much love and laughter with us. Even though you're not standing here with us today, I know you live in the hearts of every single person sitting here today. We'll never forget you, Gogo. I love you.
Thank you, Charlotte and Annabelle. Now we'll hear from Pete, Sugar's stepson.
That mellifluous, welcoming, hello darling voice will not be heard again. We have a chance today to reflect on a wonderful woman, mom, stepmom, grandmom, and friend. As a stepson, I had a unique and rare opportunity in life. She loved me as one of her own, and I loved her deeply. And in so doing, we enjoyed a journey together, having lived next door to one another as families for more than 2 decades, which gave me an opportunity to learn. Instead of telling a series of stories, I've chosen a series of words to describe the way that I feel about Sugar. Sugar was kind. She was warm. She was loving. She was gorgeous. She also destroyed an octogenarian Scottish golfing mate of mine's golf tour when, having met Sugar at a dinner party in our home, he couldn't concentrate for the rest of the week. She was fun. She was gentle. She was wise. And she's knitted together a network of people across the world that I continue to marvel at as to how she kept them together for the good of all. She was always optimistic, firm, and well-traveled. I never got a chance to apologize for making her smoke outside my flat in London when the wind was blowing and was pouring with rain and she needed a ciggy. But she had some incredible talents. She had the command of the telephone. She had green fingers with her roses. And we ended up in this clandestine arrangement during COVID lockdown where she swapped her beautiful roses for wine out of the wine cellar under the liquor ban. It worked well for both of us. She set a good example. She managed to avoid the gym. And she conquered teetotalism absolutely, completely. But what I miss most, amongst all the fun and the laughs, were 20 years of learning. The fireside chats changed my life. They changed the lives of my family, and we are much better for it. She did leave me with one last rhetorical question. She said, well, what does a girl have to do to get a drink around here? And in so doing, Shugs, you'll live forever. Because every time a champagne cork pops, I remember you. I love you.
Thank you, Pete. Now we'll hear from Harold, or Haki, Sugar's son.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. It's been a long road since my mum passed away. It's nearly been a year, and there isn't one day I haven't thought of my mum and missed her. I always thought that she'd be here for my 50th, but it didn't pan out that way. But I'm very blessed that I've got no regrets. I had some wonderful times with my mum. I remember so many wonderful memories with her. She was an incredible mother. She taught us the importance of family, how to love, how to fight, how to make up. And she created a wonderful home for us. She was an exceptional grandmother. She had these unique relationships with all of her grandchildren, her step-grandchildren, and they meant so much to her. And she put so much effort into the grandchildren and the unique relationships that they had with her. I feel very honored that Kerry and my family are going to be moving into a house. It was something that she always wanted. There's been a mad rush to get the house ready into some form of neatness and not a construction site to have this event, because as a family we know how much she would like to have had her memorial here. It's interesting that when we took this tennis court out, which I think a lot of you would remember, we moved all of her roses and created a rose garden in memory of her. And those, she loved her roses, and I don't want to decry her ability of looking after the roses, but I don't know what's happened. Since we moved those roses, I truly think my mom lives in there, because they're growing like trees. But every day I walk through that, I am reminded of my mom. She loved her roses. My mom was an incredible friend. She had friends far and wide, young and old, and she was a brilliant raconteur. She did used to speak about the same stories over and over again, but they were worthy of hearing over and over again. And my Aunt Bev is here today, up from Durban, which is a real treat. And she reminded me just before I got up here, one of the legendary stories about my mom was when they were living in Durban, and Cliff Richard arrived in town. My grandfather was a well-known tailor, and I'm not sure how it played out, but Cliff Richard and his crew landed up spending the day at their house and swimming in their pool. My mom decided to capitalize on this and landed up bottling as much of the pool water as she could and selling it on to all the Durban folk. But interestingly enough, it was the place around that pool where Cliff Richard and his band came up with the song The Young Ones, which we're going to play a little bit later. My mom died too young. At the age of 73, you just didn't expect it. She was such a legend. You think that she would live forever. Saying that, I'm very grateful that she never suffered any pain and and no indignity at all either. And as I said, I'm grateful for all the memories that she's left all of us. I do want to thank her staff, Monica and Charles, who looked after her so well. They've been an absolute gem in her life. And when we went around, we knew that she'd be looked after and cared for and kept entertained. My mom was a formidable hostess, well known for her roast leg of lamb, known to greet you at the door, as many of you said, with a ciggy in her hand, small glass of white wine in the other hand. And if she never remembered your name, you were just called darling. But she made people feel good around her, and she was a very special person. Mom, I love you. You will always be in my heart, and I'll remember you every day. Bon voyage.
Thank you, Haki. And now we'll hear from Norman, Sugar's eldest son.
So I can't compete with my sister's creativity or my brother's sportsman ability, but I can say one thing, that I was the first out. And I knew Shugs for longer than my siblings, and I'll always take that. But I got to admit, we had a bit of a rough start together. My mom used to love telling the story to our girlfriends, to my mates. It was bloody awful. So apparently I popped out, and she looked down, and she couldn't see a baby. All she just saw was all this mess. And she said to the doctor, "Where's the baby?" And out of the mess, he plucked this thing, which apparently I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, and my body was blue, and my balls were black. And they threw me in the incubator, and I turned pink. And she used to love telling that story, and it's bloody dreadful. So I'm hoping we're going to like bury this one for good. You know, my life was I tell you, it's rough going last. Who put me last? My life was here. You know, we grew up here. I see my old mates here. You know, guys that, you know, we knew each other since we were, you know, Anton Newbury, 6 months old. You know, Ian Roy, I think we met each other when we were 5. James Lucas when we were 4. You know, and we all grew up here. And you put me last in your vex. Sorry. It was such a privilege to have been in this space and have her show us the most important thing, which was what it means to have a home. It was an amazing thing. She was so open. The door was always open. The bar was always packed with people. Heck, well done for expanding the bar, because at least we can get more people in there now. I'm delighted that I can carry a movie in here with the family, because the next generation will be able to tap into the warmth and the stories that we hear. And how many stories were created around here. It's just unbelievable. You know, we were talking about them last night, and these stories have been circulating for ages, thanks to her propagating so many of them. So tonight is another story. Today is another great event that we're having here. It's has exited its closure after the last year, and it's beautiful. Cheers.
Thank you, Norman. Sugar has so many friends that we couldn't ask anyone to speak because maybe someone else will feel left out. So I would count myself as a friend of Sugar, and so on behalf of the friends, I will have a few words to say as well. When I saw the picture of Sugar on the invitation to today's celebration, looking every bit like a 1960s film star, I knew I had to start my reflections with a quote from a classic movie. In the 1960s movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, Paul, played by George Peppard, says to Aubrey Hepburn, who played Holly, "Okay, life's a fact. People do fall in love. People do belong to each other, because that's the only chance that anybody's got for real happiness." These past few days and weeks I've been listening to Sugar's family and loved ones, sharing memories about Sugar, and many of which we've heard today. And more than anything, Sugar was a person who lived for others, but especially for her family. Sugar made it her business to make people feel special and have a sense of belonging. Sugar is many things to all of us who are gathered here and online. She is your mother, Norman, Hacky, Vicky and Pete. She is your gogo or grandma, Oliver, Alex, Natalie, Alex, Georgie, Fraser, Charlotte, Emily, Beatrice, Annabelle and Sebastian. And she is your sister, Bevy. And for the rest of us, she is our friend. And there are too many friends to mention. But one thing we can all agree is that Sugar liked to do what she wanted to do, often without a care in the world. But she always loved to have her family and friends around her. And it didn't matter how many people were in the room or at a party, Sugar was the centre of attention. And she loved it. And how well she carried it off. She was in her element when she was with family and loved ones, and everyone knew that she was there. I've known Sugar for about 18 years, and I can honestly say that Sugar was the closest I ever came to knowing a celebrity. Not that Sugar was famous, she didn't need to be. She looked every centimetre like a celebrity. And she even sounded like a celebrity. And she was the only person I knew who said darling, and it sounded like she meant it. People do belong to each other, because that's the only chance that anybody's got for real happiness. But for all her glamour and star quality, Sugar was a people person. She was never happier than when her children and families were all around her for Sunday lunch, or when she was with her grandchildren at school events. And for her friends, sharing an evening meal around the dining room table after drinks at the bar, and eating her delicious snacks, and my favourite, roasted almonds and cashews. Sugar made it look effortless. In life, we are taught many things, and a lot of it is about what to do and what not to do. But we're rarely told that one of the life's greatest failings is the unlived life. We are in the world to live to the full. Everything that is within us and everything that comes to us. And while we are sad that Sugar is no longer with us, Sugar did not die with regret. She did not die not knowing or wishing she had one more year to do the things she had dreamed of. Sugar was not one to postpone living out the dreams of her heart. She always tried to live the life that she desired. But maybe Sugar had one regret. And I believe that Sugar's only regret was that she had to die. She would have complained that her death was far too early, as it inconvenienced her and got in the way of her life. She was planning to move to the Cape, which would have been yet another chapter in her rich and varied life. But her death got in the way of those plans. In the Christian tradition, a theologian once said, "The glory of God is the human person fully alive." I'm sure we can all agree that Sugar's natural beauty, her playfulness, and her energy were all in harmony in her life. Sugar did not allow life's difficulties to get in the way of her desires. Sugar was focused, but in a most charming way, on getting what she believed in. And I love that story, Fraser, about when you were at school and Sugar was saying to the headmaster, would that be the right time for me to ask if you were going to be head boy? What you didn't say was that that was just after the headmaster had hit on her. Do you blame him? That was typical of Sugar and typical of men in her life. She always made it her business to make friends with the sports coaches and headmasters to ensure that her grandchildren were given the best chance to live their lives to the fullest. But for all the glamour, the laughter, the many, many stories and the joy. The person we all remember was a loving mother, a loving grandmother, a sister, and a friend. We all have stories about Sugar, and we all know things that she shared with us in hushed tones, bringing us into her confidence. Today is a celebration of Sugar's life. She would not have wanted us to cry, well, not too much, just enough to show that we miss her. She'd want us to have remembered her with a smile, with laughter, and with a drink. COVID has in many ways spoiled her final party, and this day has been a long time coming. But it's up to each of us children, each of us grandchildren, and each of us friends to be true to her memory by living life to the fullest. That is her gift to us. That is her legacy. And Sugar will continue to live in our memories, in our hearts, and in the many, many stories that will continue to be told about her whenever we remember her. And as together we say goodbye to Sugar, let's keep her memory alive by living lives that are lived to the fullest and being true to the glory that is Sugar. Many of us have thoughts and memories and stories of Sugar, and I just invite you now in silence just to remember Sugar and think of your favorite memory, your favorite story, your favorite time with her as we conclude our service. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used to. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed, at the little jokes we always enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the ghost of a shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. What is death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you at an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. And although she wasn't Irish or Scottish, I thought I would finish with the traditional Gaelic blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sunshine warm upon your face. May the rains fall upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for everyone who was online. And those of us who are here will continue to party. Not too much, because we'll bring the bagpipes in otherwise, and then we'll have to wail. There are drinks and there will be some refreshments afterwards. And if Sugar, and we have to believe Sugar is watching us, please be true to Sugar's memory and have a good time. Thank you very much.
What a world, what a life, I'm in love. I got a song that I sing, I can make the rain go anytime I move my finger. Lucky me, can't you see I'm in love? Life is a beautiful thing, as long as I hold the string. I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever let it go. I got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love. Life is a beautiful thing, as long as I hold the string. I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever let it go. I got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got the string around my finger. What a